All right, guys, we got the Juan Soto return, belt to cheeks, right? Is that the kids like to call it? Yankees win 6-1. Cheeks is here. I promise you he'll show up at some point. The Yankees win 6-1. They're now 4.5 games up. On the now, we've got a new team in second place, the Toronto Blue Jays, 4.5 games back. Every single team in this division lost today. And obviously the main story was Rodon, Tyler McGill, and mainly Juan Soto. Soto, what was he going to do? And part of my prediction was that he's a big moment guy. You saw today that the bleacher creatures in right field turned their back on him, which essentially was their opportunity to turn their back on somebody who just turned his back on us. It was creative. I'm going to give him... I did see on X that fans were thinking about giving him a standing ovation. And Jake, I talked to you about this. There's no reason, if a player didn't ever at any point choose to play with you, you traded for him, right? That's the story. It's exactly what happened. We trade Michael King and we get Grisham, we get Soto, and it's a walk year. He had no say in that. Now, he had a great season. Obviously, Aaron Judge had an MVP season right behind him. And Juan Soto did at some point today. He decided, I'm going to take this head on, and rather than trying to be a villain, I'm going to try and extend an olive branch and be nice to these guys. And Yankees fans rejected that. I'm just here to tell you right now, if you didn't watch the game today, they rejected that. So I was proud of it. I was. It wasn't the main thing because we're still the Yankees. We are the big brother. We're still, like, regardless of your record early on this season, we're still the talk of the town. I don't care who it is that you signed. So I was proud to see how the Yankees played, how they responded to a big moment. This is one of our first big games of the year. Great day at the Yard.
I loved it. I really thought this was a complete, domination. 6-2 doesn't do it justice. This felt like it was 10-2. Like the Mets didn't look like they wanted to even be there. Truthfully, the Yankees controlled this game. I give a lot of credit to Tyler McGill. I know he got taken out of the game. I thought the Yankees had some great at bats, but I was joking about this off air with you. There were people like, Tyler McGill sucks. And I was like, what are we watching? This dude has some of the most...
with that?
I'm sorry. Hey, now you know how I feel. Like, Matthew Stafford throws it. Oh, he sucks. He's terrible. He should go to USFL. You get like stuff like that, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm watching right now.
Not everybody sucks. Sometimes you made a good adjustment. I thought we did that.
Exactly. And I thought McGill had some absolute disgusting stuff. And I don't really get to watch him very often, so I was really impressed. And I saw Mets fans on my feed. I don't know why they're on my feed. I don't follow any Mets fans, really. Well, I guess maybe I follow a few. But they were blaming him for, like, he could never locate. Well, how is that the case? Because before he gave up 4 runs tonight, his ERA was below 3, right, Gary? I mean, I don't... People are
run
acting like this
prevention
guy's
has
terrible.
no problem. No, so this is the thing. They weren't complaining about this pitcher and Tyler McGill early on in the season. It was actually a player that I've been talking about for a few weeks now. He's been great. Their entire rotation's been really good, highly serviceable. They're giving you innings. But as of late, right, let me remind you, these last 3 outings from McGill, obviously today he goes 2 2/3. The Yankees were taking some of the best at-bats all year. And his last start, he went 4 2/3. The one before that, he just qualifies with 5. Now, obviously, we watched what Rodon did today. It was a laboring experience to get through 5. So McGill is struggling to get inside the strike zone, but you also have to remember, if a guy's struggling in a certain way with location, it's up to the offense to show up with the correct game plan. The Yankees did that. You see right here with Alex Reyes with the super. Alex, thank you for the 2. Says we won without a home run. Wow. Yes.
I felt it. Yeah, I felt that.
You can feel that because you don't have to play the same way every single day. You see guys like Cody Bellinger getting hot, right? Infield singles, spraying the ball all over the yard, everywhere. That's how you play baseball. Tomorrow we may show up and hit 4 jacks, 5 homers. It may happen, but the Yankees don't feel like they have to show up and play the same brand of baseball. And today, the Yankees didn't have to do that. All they had to do was make the pitcher come to them. And as of late, he hasn't been able to do that. And by the way, I want to mention the game plan today on Juan Soto. And I thought it was interesting. If you look at the numbers from Juan Soto, the Yankees very clearly said, we're not going to pitch to you. Remember that Barry Bonds treatment you guys have all been talking about with Aaron Judge? We're going to nibble on Juan Soto. His first 3 plate appearances, all walks. Do you know why? You know who wasn't hitting behind him today? Big number 99, Aaron Judge.
That's true.
It was Pete Alonso. And
Who's
Pete Alonso's
struggling as of late.
Right. He's struggling as of late, but here's the thing. Even if he wasn't, you always pitch to Pete Alonso. Over Juan Soto, over an Aaron Judge, you pitch to that guy. So the Yankees said, if you come up with runners in scoring position, we'll pitch to you. Why? With runners in scoring position in 2025, they're paying him all that money, and I'm not saying he's overpaid. I'm just reading you guys the numbers. 5 for 37. Today he was 0 for 2 with 3 walks. That's how you beat the Mets. Not every day, but more times than not, that should be your game plan. I thought that was executed beautifully.
I agree. I mean, between, the top 3 hitters in the lineup, you only give up 1 hit. That's pretty damn good. And this Mets team, I think there was something I saw. They don't quite have the same strength of schedule early on as the Yankees. So some of the stats, like the Yankees have more home runs, they have more whatever. But this is still a good Mets team, obviously. It's one of the better teams in the league. So this is a huge win today. And Jordan, I love that Jordan brought this up. Thank you for the 5, Jordan. Loved Boone, knew the situation because he had Cruz warming up for the 8th. Boone knew Devin needed to get back on Alonso. This win felt great. Gary, would you believe that's exactly what I thought? That is exactly what I thought. Because that is when everything went south for Devin Williams. He got traded away. He hasn't been the same. So how about, let's kind of fix this if we can, right? And so it was a huge moment. And don't look now, but Devin Williams sure looks pretty good the last few outings. If he keeps this up, I mean, you got Weaver, and you know what Weaver can do, but that's a disgusting 1-2 punch. And it sucks because Devin Williams was horrendous to start the year, that even the last 3-4 outings being really good, he still has a 7.80 ERA. So it's going to take a lot of work to get that thing down. But the 3 strikeouts, you can see, I think the changeup, he feels like he still throws it even when he's not confident in it. We've seen that. But he feels like he's confident in his changeup again, right?
Yeah, it was more so fastballs today, though. That was different.
That's true.
And they have talked about he's not necessarily throwing less strikes, because Michael Kay brought this up a few weeks ago. And this was really when everyone was talking about why is this player struggling? And they're saying, well, he's falling behind in counts. It's really when you throw your balls, when you throw your strikes. And you can probably throw an equal amount of balls and strikes from year to year, but if it's ball 1 every at bat, and then your strikes are trying to come from behind an account, well, you're not going to be able to get to your bread and butter. Everyone talks about this airbender. There's no pitch in baseball, no breaking ball in this sport that any pitcher is going to feel that confident throwing behind an account. So you saw today the game plan, hitters, Alonso, right? Multiple hitters showing up to the plate, and they were just flat out guessing changeup. And fastballs at 93, 94 were hitting the glove before they're even pulling the trigger. It just goes to show you guys are sitting on that changeup, and rightfully so. But when he's throwing his fastball, just pitch selection-wise, I'm going to get ahead of you with a fastball, hitters have to think, is he going to go back to that fastball? If that's even on your mind at all, that's when the airbender becomes a weapon. Exactly,
because, I mean, when you zig, they zag type deal.
Right.
So you essentially the airbender, it's going to be really, it's going to find the most dominance when you have somebody that's guessing. That's the key. Because if they're sitting on it, then you're just hoping the movement is good enough where even if they're on it, they're not on it, right? But his movement hasn't been great. So you can see now when you develop that, essentially that reputation where they're calling you after what they call your pitch, like that's his nickname, the airbender. It's like everyone knows you're going to throw that. It's no different than watching Tommy Kahnle. It's like, oh yeah, he's just throwing a changeup just 20 straight times. Like
he might be the only guy in baseball. Well,
he gets away with it, but still.
Yeah, he throws 20 straight changeups and people still don't hit it. I'm not sure what it's about, like how people are fooled. Obviously, it's easier said than done to make the adjustment. It is clearly the movement, but Kyle, and I actually agree with this. He said, who didn't see Juan Soto being last one up?
Oh, yeah.
LOL. Kyle, thank you for the 2. Yeah,
Baseball
it almost felt like that. Yeah, you remember when Manny Machado was the last out of the World Series? I think it was Chris Sale who struck him out.
Yep.
You sort of felt that was going to be the situation. Juan Soto was always coming up in a situation where the Mets needed him. And to some degree, there's going to be a give and take here with Mets fans about what it is you want from Juan Soto, because he's the ultimate package where I'm going to take my walks. Now, sometimes if the guys behind me aren't cashing in, that's going to really frustrate you. When you see a guy walk 3 times and he goes 0 for 2 in a night, you're going to say, well, he didn't really do anything for us. And that's not true. Getting on base is doing something. And as time goes on, this player tends to wear on you as an offensive player. But what's interesting is that you can use that strength that he has of being disciplined against him. You force the other players on the roster to beat you. And that's something that you just have to make sure that you execute. A lot of fans, like in general, will say, oh, okay, Juan Soto walked 3 times. And then all of a sudden you'll see a manager decide, oh, let's go after Soto this at bat. And you fall behind an account, you go after him, and he puts a ball in the seats. That's where the Yankees are going to be tested long-term in this series. You don't want to look at a player like Juan Soto and think, well, he was 0 for 2 with 3 walks. He did nothing yesterday. No, this is just how he plays. So I think the Yankees went about this the right way. You've got to give Aaron Boone credit. I know we love to only talk about Aaron Boone when he's done something wrong. We think we should talk about both.
I agree. Absolutely. And, you know, it's funny because, and obviously there's 2 more games in the series, so I don't want to jump the gun here. But that guy on WFAN was saying how he thought Juan Soto, this is going to be the thing that gets him going, right? This is going to be the series. He's going to just hit home run after home run.
Okay.
And, I mean, I guess it's possible for him to have a really good game 2 and a game 3, but I thought the Yankees had a great game plan today against him. And I understand people don't like putting guys on base, but I do agree with you. I think that was deliberate. It was more one of those, like, if Juan swings and misses, we got ourselves a strikeout. But he was nibbling, and that's the thing. When you watch Carlos Rodon, he doesn't nibble. If he has like those at bats, that like what we saw with Soto, typically that matchup is him losing command. That's what I've noticed, is because he can get wild when he doesn't have things going for him. Although I have to say, we talked about last year's a big issue for both of us because we just felt like he was always just upset, and we like the fired up nature, but I felt like it was a distracting thing to him. Carlos Rodon is like a monk now. He does not do anything. He literally...
What happened?
I don't know. He'll put the glove up and do this. That's like his thing now. Do you notice that?
Do you think he's just mother effing in there?
Yeah.
You think that's what's happening?
They're just like, how about you just keep it in the glove? And he comes off, and he, even after the huge strikeout to Alonso to end the inning,
yes,
I thought we would have saw, because that was like his last at batter, and he knew that. That would, you know, I would have expected him to be like a yeah, like, you know, nothing. Like, this dude is a monk, and I love it.
It doesn't usually work out. If you really think about it, more times than not, starts a year and a half ago, Rodon would be sitting there. He's just fired up. You can tell. I mean, it felt like Jersey Shore out there. And Boone is sitting in the dugout, and he'd say, okay, well, we're starting to see 97, 98, some of the best fastballs of the night. We saw that tonight, right? In that at bat against Alonso. And you think, well, Rodon in the past, he probably just, he's got his velocity, but the location's just not there. The execution wouldn't be there. He's just too all over the place emotionally. You can't be at a 10 emotionally and then execute a breaking ball the way that you want to consistently. And what you end up seeing in years past is he probably gives up a homer right there, and then Boone has to decide who he wants to bring out the pen. Is it Johnny Lowe? Do you want to bring him into a close game, right? It changes the entire complexion of the game. So I thought Boone putting some confidence in a pitcher. Rodon's done his thing enough this season to prove I can out-execute the guy that I'm matching up with right now. I don't have to get fired up and show you that I'm pissed off, that I'm laboring through 5 innings of work. That's what Rodon would have done previously. Rodon would have sat there, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm throwing 25 pitches this inning. I just can't get a break.
I know.
This is the way that it goes. And like you said, it feels like a different human. So the talent's all the same. Rodon hasn't changed a lick, but the mentality is morphing before our eyes, and I think we're getting a better pitcher because of it.
I agree, and that could be... I don't want to say for sure because I don't remember exactly what it was, but do you remember when Carlos Rodon was coming up from the minors and they said he had like an attitude thing or whatever? Like he was kind of hard to work with, or I forget what it was, but I remember that coming out. It was very similar to it was similar to Trevor Bauer. And
I do remember this, yeah.
I remember Rodon was considered somebody that's hard to work with. And so that's why a lot of people felt like the White Sox would just move on from him, you know? So it's interesting because if he has, and it makes sense, he's gotten older, right? If he has kind of like pushed that aside, I think this is who he is now. I think he can keep this up. And I think a big thing that has been holding him back has been how emotional he was, because I think oftentimes it's cool when you're watching on TV to see how fired up Devin Williams gets after strikeout. But as cool as it is to watch those fired up moments, those are moments. Devin Williams isn't after every pitch going, like rolling his eyes, like, you know what I mean? So
the pitch is also done, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you executed the pitch, and then it's like now you can get. We saw that with Sevy too in years past. Like he'd strike out a dude and just flip a lid.
Oh, my
that's
God.
okay.
Yeah.
But to be sitting there huffing and puffing, the fact that we don't see that now, I think it's part of the reason why Rodon from innings where he's struggling, clearly struggling, can't find the plate, maybe the zone's not the way he'd want it, the weather's not the way you'd want it, or you just don't have a certain pitch. Innings 3 through 5, he just seems more aware, just more situationally aware that it doesn't have to be about me every day. I just do my
job. Who can learn from this? Jazz Chisholm.
Wouldn't that be nice, huh?
I'm just saying. I think if you're really paying attention, I don't know how much these guys pay attention in the clubhouse like that, but Jazz was watching today. They kept zooming in on his face. If you really pay attention, you could pick up like, wow, this guy is known. When they got Rodon, like you and I have talked about it, he was known as the guy that's always pumped up. He's fired up. He's got this, and that can be good, but it can also hurt you. And I feel like with Jazz, like to an extent, I think that is hurting him as well. So I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, kind of learning from, you know, who's around you. And obviously he's a veteran now, so, you know, he's finding the ropes slowly but surely. But Rodon, excellent stuff today. And then what was that? You're not happy to see Matzik go. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure why, but I mean, to each of their own, but we did, of course, say that this was probably going to be the way it was, that they weren't trying to milk him, right? Okay, he's going to be, we essentially said he's going to be off the roster, just throw him. And in that situation, he came in a big game, so we were saying he wasn't pitched because they were getting rid of him. No, they're just getting rid of him. So he's just at the bottom of the roster.
No, he was always just going to be kind of a fill-in, because I think a lot of people forgot also Jake Cousins is coming back. And, you know, he's the guy that can miss bats, and they need that. So I love that Loaizaga was able to pitch tonight. He looked really good considering this is his first outing. And, God, I remember we were making the video last year at the beginning of the year, like, and it got like 20 views, but...
Appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, but no, like it was in April, right, when he went down, Johnny Lowe.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you.
It was like the beginning of the season. Like he barely got a chance to pitch. It sucked.
But the stuff is to Alex Reyes. Alex, again, thank you for the super with the 2.
Yeah.
And again, guys, if you're joining us, make sure you like the video. Johnny Lowe is a stuff guy. That's just who he is. The stuff is going to be there. You're going to see 95 all the way up to 99. The ball is good. It's a bowling ball. The ball is going to be on the ground. And this is the thing I'm most excited about with Johnny Lowe. And then we can move on to what our hitters did today, because they deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny Lowe is a ground ball guy that can also miss bats. Okay. I want to remind people of who he is, right? Very similar to a Max Fried. You can see 10 Ks on a given night, but when he's got it going and the sinker's really working, that four-seam fastball, glove side is working, you're going to see a lot of balls on the ground, some weak contact. You know what would really help a guy like Johnny Lowe that he never saw, even when he was healthy with the Yankees? A better defensive infield. The Yankees have that right now. Our infield is much improved. So Johnny Lowe aside, what he does best, our Yankees unit that we have behind him to complement his game, we just need to see him healthy. If he's healthy, Alex, this is going to work.
And I just wanted to throw this back up there because we didn't get a chance to talk about it. But Jalen, who's been a member for 8 months, appreciate you. So is Brian, by the way. Forgot to point that out. But could be wrong. But I noticed the last couple outings, he's been calling his own pitches with the column on his belt. I don't pick up on things like that. I mean, I pick up on a lot of different things. I never noticed. I don't even. If you asked me before this to figure out where the pitch comm was, couldn't tell you. I have no idea. I know there's some dude in the league that was like fidgeting like inside his hat. And like the umpire's like, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, I have my pitch comm like glued to the top of the brim or whatever. It was ridiculous.
Whatever you want, right? I mean, okay.
But like, I don't know like where the pitch comm normally is. So I'm just going to say I have no idea, but props to Jalen for pointing this out. Gary, what are your thoughts on this?
So this tells me that catchers were probably beforehand responsible for calling his pitches. Like if we just, obviously the inverse of that is that the catchers were deciding. I think that Devin Williams probably wanted to get in control of the sequencing. Yes, my best pitch is my changeup, but don't treat me like I'm Conley, right? I'm not gonna spin 4 changeups in a row and then surprise someone with a fastball. I think Devin Williams wants to get back to traditional pitching. I'm gonna get ahead of you with my fastball located. He did that today against Alonso. And then later in the at-bat, when I need to miss a bat, now you go to that changeup. And matter of fact, let me call it myself. Don't bring me up to someone's going to come up to the plate, one of their better hitters, and I've got to spin 2 changeups back to back, and now I'm trying to aim a strike. That's not how I want to pitch. I think this possibly could just be Devin Williams trying to control what he can.
I think they need to have like one of those quarterback wristbands and then just... I think that would be better than whatever the hell. I saw it the other day. This dude put it on like the bottom of his brim of his hat, and the umpire freaked the hell out, and he thought they had like, you know, pine tar, and he's just like, it's this, and he's just like, all right, and then the play resumed. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It's genius. If you just want to cheat, you just put your thing up there, and then they say, hey, why do you keep reaching up for it? And you say, oh, it's just this. Then the next inning, you come out cheating. You have the pine tar up there.
Because it's already past the...
Yeah, they're not going to come out there and say, why are you touching your hat so much? Well, I'm touching it for the pitch. What do you want? So I think it would work. And Apex with the super... Apex, thank you for that. Apex. Thank you for the 2. Says, when the Yanks win, and yes, the New York Knicks won and advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. Congratulations, guys. Yeah.
I'm happy for all of you Knicks fans because it's been a long time since they won it all. I'd say none of you guys were around. Well, maybe some people in here.
They were getting close, and then they ran into LeBron. So
yeah,
that didn't help.
But
they probably would have won something those years. It just didn't work out. But you mentioned this, Jake.
Yeah.
The conclusion here. Trent
I loved it.
Outing Soto. Yeah, what'd you think about that? I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was poetic justice, is how I would say it. See, he flies out to Trent Grisham. Obviously, it's not like Grisham was a free agent or anything, but it's funny how this trade looks not as bad anymore, considering, oh yeah, Juan's gone, but Trent Grisham is raking. Like, he's hitting better than Juan Soto is right now. So it's funny how that's worked out. That probably won't last. I expect Juan Soto to have a blistering summer, but he did also have that last year in San Diego, so I guess you never know.
Yeah, okay, technically speaking, right? You talk about the trade. We get Juan Soto. We thought Juan Soto was just going to play well. That was our hopes, right? If he plays well at Yankee Stadium, what player has ever been dominant for the Yankees and just been like, I'm out of here? It just doesn't happen.
To the Mets. That doesn't happen.
You just don't see it. But he plays well. We assumed he would return. He didn't. Okay? And then you turn around and say, well, what are the Yankees going to do? Maybe not for 10 years, because we can always just sign another player later, like a Kyle Tucker. But what are the Yankees going to do in 2025? What now? Right this second? What do we get? And Trent Grisham was like, hold on, I'm in the last year of my contract. I'm about to give you a career year. So, yeah, I'm not Juan Soto, and I never will be. But I'm going to be a nice little Band-Aid for you here in the short term. We love Band-Aids right now at Yankee Stadium. Paul Goldschmidt was a Band-Aid. I want to remind you guys, they love this signing with Paul Goldschmidt. Yeah, he's a Band-Aid. He's a 1-year contract. If they thought he was a long-term option, they would have just signed him till he was 40. They didn't do that. So I'm just here to tell you guys right now, Trent Grisham, no matter how much this surprises you, it surprised me. Trent Grisham has been unbelievable.
He's trying so hard not to say sensational.
I tried. Trust me. And there you go. But we just need this to ride out to the end of the season. And then you hope we do something in October. And then you get to free agency and you say, hey, Kyle Tucker, you want to come play for the Yankees? And if he does, you don't have to worry anymore about what happened with Juan Soto. It's a wash.
Hey, all the signings look pretty good, except for the fact that they turned down bringing in Bregman, because we talked about that. And every time I watch that, he is absolutely on fire. But Christian Walker, remember, the Yankees were the favorite for him not that long ago.
Yeah.
And he has not looked good. And it's funny because we never once mentioned Paul Goldschmidt as an option, because I don't really recall thinking he ever was an option. And I think, wasn't he released after the fact? How was he an option? Like, I don't remember him being a free agent. Did we just overlook him?
I have no idea.
Because I remember we both liked Christian Walker because he could hit and field.
Yeah, great fielder.
And I made the argument for Carlos Santana because I thought he'd be a lot cheaper. And he had a great he was one of the best defensive first basemen.
Slightly older, but he could also hit and hit home runs, and he'd be a good fit in New York. And I don't even remember. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't even remember talking about Paul Goldschmidt. I don't even think he was a free agent until after the fact. And I could be wrong. Maybe somebody else knows, but I see. I knew I loved Jalen.
I see.
That a boy, Jalen.
Pedigree.
Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt in the second half with the Cardinals was great. He was great. And the Yankees decided, is that just some random shot in the arm he had? Is that, I don't know. What is that? And then all of a sudden, Brian Cashman made the decision. This player, I think he's going to give us a year of that. He did this exact same thing with Josh Donaldson. Let's remember, Josh Donaldson had a strong second half of the year prior to joining the Yankees. And he said, no, that guy who's 36, he still got it. Everyone's like, why would you sign a 36-year-old player? And he's like, hold on a second. He's still got some juice left. He loves to go opposite field, and he didn't do that very well. It didn't work. But this one is. And someone in the chat said that Cody Bellinger was also a Band-Aid. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that because the Yankees knew this is a $25 million Band-Aid. And he's got a player option. So really, you're paying $50 million. Cody is going to be an outfielder. Paul Goldschmidt's going to Band-Aid over at first base. I don't know if they expected it to go this well. But at the end of the year, they kind of expected, if Ben Rice doesn't take that position, hey, Cody, go over to first base. And then we'll go sign an outfielder. That was the Yankees' plan. And so far, what Brian Cashman's done, and I want to switch this conversation to Cody Bellinger specifically because I think he deserves his day in the sun. Cody Bellinger, not only is he hitting, he changed his batting stance. I don't know if you guys noticed, but his right foot, obviously his lead foot as a left-handed hitter, he's now on his toe and open. He was open before, but slightly more open, and he is on his toe. His batting stance has adjusted, and obviously the results have also adjusted. Jake, what are you seeing? Because he's no longer, it doesn't feel like he's uppercutting. It seems like the line drive is back in style.
Yeah, he looks like he did. Maybe he was working on this batting stance, in March. I don't remember if he was, but he looks like he did in March. I'm not going to lie. He still has that violent, very Paul O'Neill-like swing, but I really am liking the at-bats he's putting together. His only out today, because he went 3 for 4, was a line drive at the second baseman. So it was another line drive.
Karma. That was karma for his third hit, just being a little squeaker in the infield.
Yeah,
that's how baseball, people can say what they want. They even out.
Then Lindor, it evens out because Lindor had that. Yeah, I thought Yerry De Los Santos actually pitched well. It got screwed on like the soft contact by what's his face, Lindor. The dribbler down the third base line. It was like, and of course, Peraza was playing off the line a little bit, so he's chasing after it. It's one of those, oh my God, you just feel like you're running forever. But yeah, no, it does even out. Bellinger looks really good. He's batting 242 now. He's over a 700 OPS. That took a while, but he finally is over that. I've been impressed with what I've seen. I think the at-bats have been really good. And again, this is somebody who had a 3-hit game. It was actually, we were reminded by the broadcast today. By the way, it felt really good to listen to Michael Kay and the guys today. I thought I got an alert on my phone, and it was Apple TV. But they were telling me that it's going to be tomorrow, I guess, for Apple TV. But I thought it was the Friday night game. And maybe it was, but I was able to see it on Yes. Thank God. So
anytime I see Apple TV, you know what I do? I go straight to, what is it? What's not technically Stream East, Crack Streams. I go right there. I don't let them get a single rating from me. If you're gonna put it on some special network, I will not watch it. I don't care.
I have Apple TV and I find it annoying. And I'm a fan. Well, you are too, because you use Apple equipment. I do as well. You're using AirPods, you're using a MacBook. I am as well, but I just don't like the Apple TV presentation of baseball. I don't like it.
I don't even think it's about presentation. I just don't want to have to do anything different. I don't want to go anywhere different. It's like if you went to the grocery store and it's the same spot every single week, and then for whatever reason on Fridays they move it like a block and a half up the road. They're like, oh, instead of going here, we'll just, that simple adjustment, you just drive over here. Well, I could do that, but why the hell would I? Why are we doing this? Well, we know the gist of it. Yeah. They essentially sell the rights to the game because people want to, it's a primetime Mets-Yankees game. Everyone's going to be watching. Apple, as if we don't know Apple exists already. So, yeah. Golden Spatian with the 2. Thank you, Golden. We appreciate the support. Says, what a game. Cody Bellinger is on fire. Yes, he is. He now has an 11-game hitting streak. I thought it was 11 last game, but now it's 11. Goldie is fast. I'm not going to lie. Now, with Cody Bellinger, I want to address the elephant in the room at the beginning of the game, because right now no one's thinking about it, but it was Ben Rice. Ben Rice didn't play today.
No.
And more times than not, when you see that name out of the lineup, especially against right-handed pitching where he does most of his damage, people have questions. Why don't I see this player? But then when you watch a guy like Cody Bellinger, obviously Grisham is in there, right? Judge, the usual suspects. No one seems to care anymore when you get this type of production. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I didn't really think about it. And I know that's weird, but as long as these guys continue to hit, they're just going to be really deep. It's like you said, there's going to be really good players on the bench. And if anything, I thought about this long and hard, and I'm not going to lie. When I watch the Yankees, it seems like every single game they're trying to, in some capacity, use up their bench. How many times do we see Aaron Boone this year pinch hitting? We did not see that a ton last year. We saw it every now and then. Didn't see it a ton. This year, it feels like it's every other game. And
you see what Kay brought up?
What?
Michael Kay brought up the results. He actually brought up something similar to what you're bringing up. Mm-hmm. It was more of like what it means and like kind of how you apply it. But you talk about pinch hitting, and you kind of mentioned Aaron Boone typically does not like using his bench.
No.
He just doesn't. And do you remember last year, you would bring these numbers up all the time, and I thought they were great. You'd bring up Giancarlo's numbers.
Oh, God.
Yes. And Giancarlo's hitting like zero. Literally, it's like 004.
He's like 3 for 81 as a bench hitter.
It's like if we just ran CC Sabathia up there for an at bat.
Or us.
Right. It is really bad. So you bring up those numbers. So Boone, based on those numbers, it just doesn't make sense to use that. Why would you go to the well if there's never been water there? But this year, we just saw it a couple days ago. Paul Goldschmidt just popped off the bench. He's like, oh, yeah, lefty, I'm ready. Just leaves the yard. You called it the most quiet homer of all time. Yeah, he just showed up and executed right away. It was pretty
insane. No one talked about it. And that was like a huge home run because Judge hit a home run after. It's like if Judge hits a home run in a game, everything is second. It doesn't matter if the walk-off home run happened. Judge hit like a 3-run bomb earlier in the game. Judge hit a home run. That's what's being talked about. And you know what? It's justified. We are watching one of the most dominant athletes of all time. Seriously. We are watching like a Michael Jordan-esque player, a LeBron James-esque player, a Wayne Gretzky type. Actually, I feel like he's closer to Gretzky. I do. Because Gretzky had, I mean, his numbers are insane. Like he had like more goals than like the second place guy had points total. Like it was insane, right? Gretzky was a machine. I understand baseball isn't like that. And like you can't have 100 home runs till like the next guy has like 50. But watching Aaron Judge, and I actually watched the bench because from that you know, kind of side cam that they show when the bat makes contact with the ball. The side angle, you can see the way like the Mets dugout was just enthralled watching him hit. I mean, it's exactly what Paul O'Neill says. This guy, his mechanics, everything is in the right place every single time. You ever notice how B-Boss, while he is fun to watch and I like his aggressive cut, but it's always kind of just really out of control. It's aggressive. The mechanics aren't really great. You know, it's not a compact swing. Judge, everything is in the right place at the right time. It's like when he makes contact, that's why he had back-to-back singles today that were 110 or harder off the bat. You don't just do that by luck. He's consistently smacking the crap out of the ball because his hitting mechanics are just on another level for, you know, most guys. So I really feel like we're watching like the Gretzky of baseball right now. That's how I feel, because watching him hit, he is just absolutely insane. And I don't know how he hasn't, like, to your point, we bring it up all the time. I don't know how the Mets didn't intentionally walk him. Like, there are spots where you can, and I just think he's way too. I mean, let's put it this way: 4 out of 10 times, a little bit over 4 out of 10 times, he's getting a hit, not getting on base, getting a hit.
Yeah, he gets on base half the time. And by the way, when you talk about mechanics and repeating those mechanics, it's so much easier said than done, which you are obviously know. But if you look at the game of golf, the difference between a Scotty Scheffler and, I don't know, a Max Homa, where a guy could be great for a few weeks, maybe a couple months, then 6 months down the road, they're talking about this guy falling off a cliff, and then, oh, look, a year and a half later, he's back. And meanwhile, a guy like Scotty Scheffler is just sort of there every weekend. He's in contention. That's the same thing with Aaron Judge. The mechanics don't differentiate. You turn on a game next Friday, he's going to look pretty much the same. He's going to have the same takes. The broadcast talked about it today. They said, you see that pitch right there? That slider just off the plate, it was a 2-1 count. He would have tried to crash hit and ambush a fastball because he knows he only really gets 1 or 2 pitches a game. The difference between Aaron Judge now versus Aaron Judge 2 years ago, he doesn't swing at that pitch anymore. That's just not a pitch that he's thinking about. And so when Aaron Judge knows this, there's nothing that can change about this game. You sort of just figure it out. That's the game. It suddenly becomes so simple for some of the game's greatest players because they hone in their mechanics. If you remember, by the way, Jake, when Garrett Cole signed with this team, this shocked me because I was thinking he was going to say, oh, Roger Clemens, right? Some power right-handed arm. No, his favorite arm that pitched for the Yankees was Tanaka. And he mentions, oh, the only reason I just love watching him pitch was because something so simple was his repeatable delivery. And I'm thinking, what? You're throwing 100 miles an hour, power slider, changeup, overhand knuckle curveball. What is it about Masahiro Tanaka that you would give a rip about? And meanwhile, it's just all about repeating mechanics. And then you see over the years, Garrett Cole is talking about, how do I repeat this delivery? Aaron Judge repeats his mechanics every day. So that's going to be the difference, by the way, with B-Boss, and we mentioned him. And then we'll get to this chat here from Adrian about Dominguez because I think this is interesting. Yeah, you just see how certain young players haven't honed in their mechanics from one at-bat to the next. One at-bat, they're taking a nice level swing. You see their approach, what they're trying to do. Maybe they get a hit. The next at-bat, they're trying to take lift off, and it's outside of where they should be going. So, yeah, and I want to move on to this Dominguez thing because I honestly, Jake, I feel like I easily would have had an answer for this, easily, is that Jason Dominguez is a pencil in. He just is. But I'm going to assume this is a rotation in the outfield somewhat. I think Cody Bellinger for sure plays tomorrow. I have pretty much no question about that. I think Grisham probably sits down tomorrow, and you see a Jason Dominguez out there. You assume Rice is going to be there. Maybe Paul Goldschmidt gets the day, but he had a great day today. It is genuinely a tough decision of who you decide to play on this Yankees team.
Yeah, it's not easy. By the way, I wanted to point out with Jason Dominguez, I don't know if you saw it. You might have. That was the fastest sprint speed today on the base pass for a Yankee since Tim LeCastro in 2022.
I didn't see that. That's impressive.
I know. I would have thought Volpe would have gotten there, but I'm starting to realize while Volpe is athletic, he's like Derek Jeter. Like Jeter was fast, but he wasn't like Billy Hamilton level. I think Jason Dominguez is like elite speed. Like you watch him and you're like, this dude is a burner. It's not his game, and you know that, but he does. It feels like he wants to steal like 40 bags. I know he's not going to. I don't think the Yankees would allow that. They just don't steal that often. I mean, I know he stole a base today, but Dominguez is a crazy athlete. He just is. And you brought it up
fast to you?
Very fast. He does.
Interesting. Because when I watch him, and everybody else sort of agrees, so clearly you guys are in the right and I'm wrong. And I see the numbers. He is fast. But what's so funny is he's not tall. He's jacked. I feel like I'm watching, like, you know how you see like a defensive lineman run down the quarterback who's scrambling? And you're like, look how fast he is. And you say that because how fast he is for a defensive lineman. I feel like I'm watching a big player run, like a gigantic person run. And
that's how I feel about Ben Rice.
You feel Ben Rice.
He looks like he's 6'5". I don't know why. He just does. But Jason Dominguez,
yeah,
it's interesting. You know who he reminds me of? Russell Wilson when he first came out. Because Russell Wilson was really fast, you know? And it's kind of that same, like he's 5'10", and he's kind of filled out. You know, he's not skinny 5'10". Like people hear 5'10", they're like, oh, skinny, short. No. And I think that's what you're seeing with Dominguez is that, yeah, he's 5'9", he's a filled out body, really, really athletic. Yeah, I mean it's really cool to watch. I just saw somebody in the comment section say, no.
30 miles an hour.
That would be insane. I know he's fast.
Dude's a Model T. He's Mach 2 over the first base.
I was like, I'm pretty sure like the fastest NFL player was like Tyreek Hill, and he ran like a 24 mile per hour. So like 30, that would be insane for a human.
Adrian says, horses don't go 30. I mean, that's pretty funny. So yeah, Jason Dominguez, all that really matters, he doesn't need to be Byron Buxton
30
speed.
feet per second. That makes sense.
Yeah, that
I don't know what that
sense.
means. That doesn't have anything to do with like that doesn't mean anything to me. Like because I've never heard that before.
Miles
like,
would be in meters.
Yeah, my thing is I've lived in the world of 40-yard dash and 10-yard split. So I'd rather hear that number than hear 30 feet per second. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, and who? So we have Clark going tomorrow against Canning. So Canning's pitched well. Clark, on the other hand, has been somewhat of a reclamation project, if you will. He's struggled at times. Other times you're like, okay, he's working the corners. We can see how the start's progressing. And then there's other starts where he's in the second inning of a game and you're like, I don't see anything here. Let's try it next time. This is a big series. So Clark's going to have to show up tomorrow and be ready to go early. And the Yankees, very clearly, we had a day off yesterday. The Yankees are going to use their bullpen in this series. This is a momentum building series. This is not, Battle of the Titans. This is our World Series. No. But it does establish so much momentum as we head towards the summer. That's what you want. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Clark does tomorrow. Jake, what do you think about what he's going to do? Because his command's not been there, and obviously the Mets are going to make you pay if that's the case.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be an interesting game tomorrow for sure. I think Canning has pitched really well. This is a fascinating thing to me because I'm watching McGill today, watching Canning, and it's like this Mets rotation doesn't look great, like by name on paper. And of course, I criticize them for not going after Max Fried, not going after Corbin Burns, not trying to. Well, I thought they were interested in Crochet and they got outbid, but I guess they never really got to the advanced talks. That blew my mind. I think really, as weird as it is, because Cohen spent all that money on Juan Soto, and I think people just assumed he was going to keep spending money. I think he was picking his spots, and I thought a lot of Mets fans wanted, Cohen to keep spending. This is a long-term project. I think that's really what we're looking at here. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. They're getting really good results. And I think they also trust their coaching staff too. So, yeah, I think Canning's a really good pitcher, at least based on this year. And that is not going to be an easy matchup for the Yankees. I'm expecting for our ProphetX, I'm expecting to take the under on the 1 through 5 innings. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and I think that has more to do with Canning. And with Clark, you kind of have to pray, don't you? Ronnie with the super. Ronnie, thank you so much for the 10. Says, great show per usual, fellas. Thank you, Ronnie. Says, go Yanks. Hey, Gary, I've seen you tweet. This is true. I'm already getting ahead of this. About Whataburger. Jeez, I haven't talked about Whataburger in a long time. In-N-Out comparisons. Probably Five Guys In-N-Out comparisons. But if you're ever in SoCal, try the hat. Gives them both a run for the money. I absolutely will. I'm always down for a burger place. Matter of fact, I just came from a burger place. I had a jalapeno double bacon cheeseburger. I'm as acidic as it gets, but it was delicious.
Yeah, I finally had like legitimate In-N-Out, not just like a piece of it. Last year, it's good for what it is. It's not as expensive as. I prefer Five Guys. That's just me. Probably because I have like 3 of them around me. I have one that's buy one get one, like right by, like literally a minute from me.
Who has a buy one get one? You text this to me. I don't know anybody with a buy one get one. Like when I go to Five Guys, and I just went like maybe 2 weeks ago, it was like $50. My wife and I saw a combo on the screen. You just walk in there, you end up not ordering the combo, and it's $50 for 2 people. So it was insane.
I order via one of the apps, and it's always, I'm not kidding you, it's always buy one get one burgers. Always.
I've never heard of it, but I hope the hat, which Ronnie's talking about here, has a buy one get one burger. That'd be great. And Golden Spatium, a little bit of context here on the speed of Jason Dominguez, and this is great. He's essentially saying Dominguez first to home is very close to Bobby Witt Jr. And for those of you who have watched Witt Jr. run, not just hit, but just watching him run, this dude runs like a gazelle. He is. Oh, yeah. He flies.
Who's the fastest player you've ever seen in baseball?
The fastest baseball player I've ever seen? I would probably say.
Because I think it's Billy Hamilton for me.
Probably Dyson for the Kansas City Royals.
Gerard Dyson. Yeah, he's
I would probably say Dyson's the fastest player I've ever seen play this game. And obviously there's going to be people who are like, oh, Deion Sanders played and all this. I don't know I've ever seen a person run this fast. Those pinch running, and mind you, he was pinch running.
Yeah.
He was like a bat just shot out of a cannon.
Well, I remember specifically he hit a dribbler to third, and I think it was Chase Headley, and it was just like a routine, and he beat it out, and I was just like, and it's not like, and then, people, of course, on social media were like, Headley's got to throw that to third quicker. It's like, what? How? Like, you want him to turn into Mr. Fantastic and extend his arm and touch the base himself? Like, I don't. It
Ricky
was just
Henderson
one of those
is also
crazy,
up there for sure. Ricky Henderson is definitely up there, and Ricky Henderson was a combination of speed, right, blazing speed, but also talent in being able to get proper jumps. You don't steal that many bases for your career and throw up that career number stolen bases by just being fast. Like, there's a reason that literally nobody else could do it, is there's a skill set to reading pitchers. So, yeah, Ichiro's also up there. Pretty cool.
I see Ichiro and I see Juan Pierre. That's another one.
I raced Ichiro when I was a kid.
Did you win?
So here's what I thought. I thought, and I think most people would sort of agree with this, I was like 8 years old at the time. 9. I was probably 9. And we're at the All-Star game, and this dude, he's like, oh, you want to race? And I'm sitting there like, why is he talking to me? And we race, right? This dude takes off. And I think he was using it as a warm-up, where I've already sort of jogged, I've gotten my 3/4 sprint out the way, and now I want to get into a sprint, but rather than just do it by myself, I'm going to make this an experience for you. And everybody was sitting there watching this, like half the roster. And this dude just takes off on me. He just took off. He literally was finished, and I was like halfway down there.
Well, you were 8, so I mean, to be fair, you were probably a really fast 8-year-old.
I was very fast, but I wasn't as fast as prime Ichiro.
Well, I don't think there are most people that are fully grown that aren't.
I wouldn't be sitting here as a podcaster if I was as fast as Ichiro at 9, but
oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I would probably say I like Dyson. I would say Hamilton or Dyson. That is a fascinating thing. I mean, I remember Juan Pierre. Those are the ones that really come to mind, though, as far as like speedy. Yeah.
By the way, before we get into the ProphetX, I did want to talk about the projection of the rest of this series from how the matchup between the Yankees staff, because this is our starters and our relievers, the job they're going to do against Juan Soto. Do you think they're going to approach this the same way they did today? We're going to nibble. If you want to take your walks in a series where we know you want to get the last laugh, like Juan Soto doesn't really want to play his brand of baseball. Like, I know he did a pretty good job of doing that today. He went 0 for 2. That wasn't what he wanted. But the 3 walks is sort of what he does. That's not what he wants. By the time this series is over, if he reaches base 7 times and 6 of them are via walk, I don't think Juan Soto is very happy with that. So what do you think's going to happen here? Because I think Juan Soto at some point in this series, you may see an 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 with him trying to do a little bit more.
So you think they're going to keep pitching around him?
I think they're going to continue to pitch him the way that Aaron Judge has pitched. The difference being they both, in a normal scenario, have no problem taking those pitches. But Juan Soto has something to prove. Aaron Judge doesn't. True. So if Aaron Judge, just like in the postseason, you mention this all the time. You say Aaron Judge knows what he has to do in the postseason. The problem is he's trying to force the issue. You don't think that Juan Soto, maybe as this series goes on, if we take a game 2, he's not going to show up in game 3 and try to take liftoff? He would start pressing. Or at least changing his approach.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. Yeah, I actually like that. Try to get him to play out of body where he's not even Juan Soto. Like that, I would enjoy seeing that, because then, yeah, you could really, because I mean, you play him again later on in the year. You kind of get in his head almost. Then you do it again at City.
Right, because if we're winning games, right, we won 6-2 today. It feels like the Yankees, even though it's a little bit silly, it's one game, but it feels like, our team got the last laugh. So you got your contract and you're still playing for the Mets, so they're still the Mets. And if all of a sudden you show up tomorrow and the Yankees win 7-5, and you don't have anything to do with the score, you went 0 for 2 with 2 walks, right? And you still reach base half the time. Well, I'm not sure that's going to cut it. Given what we know you really want to do, he wants to put a ball in the seats. So I don't know. I can see him trying to do something different than what we've seen. Because when he played for us and he walked a few times in the first half of the year, you remember what everybody said? Oh, he's a walk merchant. He just wants to walk. He didn't want to hit.
Yeah, that's funny. All the Mets fans were saying that when they didn't know that they were going to get him. They just assumed that. But anyway, this is not true. We saw this against the A's. Mason Miller got in his head. No one can tell me otherwise. He had him swinging out of his shoes, and he didn't even look like Juan Soto.
Who was he in San Diego? Was that just bad luck that he hit 235? Because I know for a fact, Juan Soto, people say he's generationally talented, and I would sort of agree, but this is a mental sport.
Term this generational talent. It's so overused.
It is very overused. It's very.
Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent. Like Tristan Casas is a generational talent. Like I hear this all the time. It's so
generational
annoying.
Literally means you
Aaron
see
Judge.
them once in a generation. If you can just look to your side and be like, oh, Bobby Witt Jr., generational talent. You've never seen a player like Bobby Witt Jr. the last 20 years? They'd be like, yeah, I've seen about 8 of them. Okay, he's not generational then. He's great.
A young Bryce Harper was very similar to Bobby Witt Jr.
They're not generational. It's just not. Generational is, there's like maybe one. You get one per 25 years. That is the generational player. You can probably argue there are 2 generational players in the game today.
Judge and Ohtani.
And Judge. There's literally no other player. I don't care what Ellie shows us. He could hit 4 triples in a game with it. I do not care.
Potentially Skeens because of how quickly he got called up and how dominant he is. But I agree completely. I just, that is so overused. And it really happens when it's the number 1 overall prospect. They did the same. Oh, well, Jackson Holiday is a generational. How is Jackson Holiday a generational talent? There is nothing about Jackson Holiday that's one of a kind. Nothing.
No, he could be a great player.
He could be a fantastic player.
He could attend All-Star games. He could do it all, right? Yeah. We've seen the talent. But am I going to show up to the All-Star game and be like, not only are there All-Stars, like I've got a roster of 9 guys on one side, 9 on the other, but who's the one on both sides where I'm like, no, he's head and shoulders above the rest. It's not him.
How would Juan Soto be a generational talent when he doesn't steal bases and he's a terrible glove? Like,
it makes no sense.
How does that? Well, he's got a great eye. He doesn't have a better eye than Tony Gwynn or Don Mattingly.
I think to some degree, somewhere, I was like, in the heat of the moment, I was like, wow, Juan Soto is just a great player. And I was like, this is generational.
I know. And I kind of fell into that a little bit as well. And now I'm getting out of that. I'm clocking out, guys. I'm not doing that anymore. The one that bothered me the most was Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why. That one really bothered me. Because it's not like I hate the guy.
Generational. He's not even good.
Like, it was like... They're like, oh, well, look at what he did at Clemson. And I was like, well, Tim Tebow was amazing at Florida. What's your point? Like, at college quarterback, just saying a guy's like Peyton Manning was generational. That was a generational prospect.
Jimmer Fredette was a generational college basketball player.
Yeah.
So, like, in really what we mean is he's just great.
He grew up not far from me, by the way.
That's so random.
I know.
But, yeah, I guess the whole point here, guys, there are 2 generational players in the game. It's Ohtani, it's Judge. One is the best hitter of the last 25 years, 20 years, whatever you want to say, Pujols. If you can essentially say, who's better than this guy, and the first names that come out of your head is Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, you say Manny Ramirez, and you just skipped like 15 years of players, that tells you how great a guy is. So, yeah.
I think you have to be, if you're only like dominant at one thing, let's say you're only dominant at hitting, you have to be like the best hitter that we've seen in the last 20 years, whatever.
I agree with you completely.
I do think there are things you can be generational at. To me, Giancarlo Stanton is a generational home run hitter. Like when you watch that power, that bat speed and everything, I don't know if we'll ever get a swing like that ever again. Like his
I would
swing
call him a
is
generational
different.
postseason hitter. That's actually what I would call him.
I like that. I'd do
Because
that.
he wasn't just really good for us, right? Like we didn't get like a Hideki Matsui run in 2020, and then we haven't been to the playoffs since. No. Giancarlo Stanton, literally, every single time we get to the postseason, people they're grunting all the way to the postseason. They're like, I don't like the way it looks in August. I don't like the way it looks in July. Oh, he heated up for this month, and then all of a sudden we get to October, he's our most reliable bat. It's every time. It's like clockwork. So to the point, why? What's so funny?
I just realized, you know who was called generational and what ruined my entire opinion on him?
What team?
Mariners.
Who, J-Rod?
Yes. Remember when he won the home run derby? They were like, this is a generational talent we were witnessing.
Generational. He's going to hit 273. Here, let me just tell you guys. He's going to hit 273. He's going to have a cold first half of the year. He's going to get hot in August because the Mariners they're going to take a lead in the division. Everyone's going to say, the Mariners finally going to do it. Nope, they won't. They'll sink back down. J-Rod will start playing good because nobody cares about the Mariners. And then all of a sudden, he'll be hitting 270 with 25 homers and driving 72 runs. And they're going to turn around and be like, it's not his year yet. He's still 24. He's generational. He is not generational. I cannot believe some of the players that we throw.
Ken Griffey Jr. was a generational talent. There you go.
Yeah.
If you're a five-tool player, there aren't many of those guys. Like, I understand that term used to get thrown around a lot, but I also don't feel like people understood what the term meant. Because they'd be like, oh, he's the best hitter in baseball. He hits home runs. He hits for average. I don't really care about his glove, but yeah, he's a five-tool. Does he steal bases? He's not a five-tool player if he doesn't steal, if he doesn't have a good glove. Five-tool means you have everything in your toolbox. Like, literally, you are the whole thing. Like,
Dude, this chat, I'm really sorry to interrupt.
No, you're
this
good.
chat is unbelievable. First of all, just read the comment. I'm not going to steer you to the name. Can you believe what is going on here?
I love how he's like, Bellinger had a good game. It was like, really? That's all you're going to say? We're not going to talk about your name? Just, yeah, Bellinger had a good game.
I absolutely love this chat from Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie, thank you for chatting. He says,
Yes,
Gary,
he
could your
could.
8-year-old self beat Giancarlo in a race? He's been tracked at almost 3.
Did you see him? He was running today. Running. The freaking broadcast was like, Giancarlo Stanton's running today. It looked like he was doing like those intramural drills in gym. Like he was doing like karaoke, but he was actually in the running motion while doing.
Oh man, Giancarlo could run into school zone. He's not beating anybody in a race. He's really not. And Giancarlo is great. It's sort of what Jake alludes to. He's great at the thing. You need to be generationally great at that one thing if you're going to do that. And that's hitting homers when it matters, being clutch. And so obviously that's super niche. It doesn't matter for 6 months of the year. But by the time postseason ball happens and starts, everyone's like, oh, I guess Giancarlo's in there. And then you look up, it's game 4 or 5 in the series, and you're like, man, Giancarlo's our best at bat. He's generationally great in October. So, yeah, Bernie, I probably could.
What's his speed rating in the new show game?
They tend to overrate it. He's usually like a 18 speed. I don't know why, but
He's a 12 speed in this game. He has a 0 stealing rating and a 0 base running aggression. Yeah, his base running aggression should be like negative 99. Like, and I feel bad because I know the athlete he is. We know that, but he's literally been instructed not to run. He actually can run. If you look at his sprint speed before he came to the Yankees, he can run. He still probably can run, no doubt. But they're like, no, because
he can run straight. That's the thing is there's a difference between putting on a cutoff T-shirt, pants, your cleats, and then sprinting in the outfield. Like just a straight run 100 feet. Okay, slow it down. Baseball's different. Baseball's not like football where you sit there and go, let me clock them sprinting. Okay, there's all types of, you're rounding the bases. They talk about Anthony Volpe rounding the bases better than anyone they've seen, right? They used to talk about Mike Piazza, believe it or not, doing the same thing. Giancarlo Stanton is good once a year for being sent home just inexplicably. We have no idea why they sent him.
That third base coach.
The third base coach does not read the room at all. They just send him. And
Rojas, I think it is.
Rojas, yeah, he will send him. We have no idea why it happens, but they do it.
Because I put like such a target on this guy's back, but I'm like, he literally has me ripping my hair out. Because like I'll never forget when he didn't send Anthony Volpe in the same game, and Volpe's fast enough to, and he's like, oh yeah, we just want to play it safe. There's nobody out. Then there's 2 outs all of a sudden, just like that. You didn't get the run over, and then later that game, by the way, that run never scores, and they lose this game. Because that was the game when they send Stanton home and he's out. And he just like kind of walks into the tag. He was like, I don't know.
People get mad at him, and I'm like, guys,
it's not Stanton's fault.
His responsibility. If the coach sends him, essentially, when you have a player who, because of lower body injuries, he's not going to go full board. He's trying to stay healthy, but he also wants to just, with momentum, move towards the next base. And the coach's job is that if I send this player, can he make it no matter what speed he decides to run from third to home? If the answer is yes, you send him. If the answer is no, he stands next to you. You give him a dap, and then he goes on the next play. But the Yankees, for whatever reason, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen once a year. So I look forward to it happening. I just want him to stay healthy, make sure he's ready to go by October.
I love any sort of Don Mattingly love. I love, because he was a generational talent, and I think people forget. Rocky. The dude was like, he was like Jordan at this time. It's why it's so weird he's not in the Hall of Fame. I know he doesn't have the longevity, but before the back injury, he was the best hitter in baseball, and he had the best eye. He never struck out. He was insane. Like, he truly was. And the issue with him is that over the course of time, Gary, the steroid era came and went. And so 32 home runs in a season, which used to actually lead the league, that wasn't impressive anymore. So he kind of got pushed aside, and he doesn't have the longevity. And so a lot of these younger voters are actually the ones that really kind of hurt him.
That sort of makes sense, though, right? You get drowned out. The same way Bernie Williams gets drowned out.
100%.
You hit in a lineup with A-Rod, right? You hit in there with my dad, Jeter, Hideki Matsui, Posada. There are a lot of great players in the lineup. So to some degree, it's like, yeah, I can look at your numbers and be like, wow, this actually might be a Hall of Famer, but you sort of get drowned out by all the hoopla that's going on. So, hoopla. Yeah, Rocky, hoopla. Great point, Rocky. Really good point. By the way, I was inaccurate. I want to make sure that I address this.
Yeah.
The Yankees now are up 5 games in the division. So, mind you,
7 of the last 9 they've won.
7 of their last 9, and the Yankees are the only team. Actually, the Red Sox are a plus 13 in terms of differential. Every other team in the division is negative. That is bad. It just is.
That's
and
wild.
The Red Sox do not have positive momentum. They've lost 4 games in a row. So as much as Devin Williams did, you said his ERA is still like a 7.80. So he's got a lot of work to do to sort of fix what he's done. But the Yankees probably right now could be looking at an 8 or a 9 game lead at this point, which, by the way, I don't want to get too nitpicky because Devin Williams has been part of the solution, so far, but we're looking at a healthy lead right now.
I 100% agree with that. And what's funny is, while I expect the Red Sox to eventually get going, and that could be when they play the Yankees look not just better, not just a lot better. They look astronomically better than everyone else in this division. I don't think it's remotely close currently. I am expecting the Red Sox to find some momentum, but yeah, I think the Yankees are by far the best team in this division. I don't think it's remotely close. And I thought watching tonight, I thought there was a clear disparity between the Yankees and the Mets. I understand it was one game, but I think talent-wise, the Yankees are more talented than the Mets right now. I just do. And I think their bullpen is a big reason why. And it's taken for granted because, how many games have we seen where the game came down to the wire, and, I hate to pick on him because he was great tonight. He's been great recently. Devin Williams cost him about like 4 or 5 wins. So this team could very well be leading the league in wins still and be the number 1 team in the league. And it's just, it's a little frustrating that I don't really feel like the bullpen's given, I guess it's just part of being a bullpen pitcher, but I don't feel like they've been given like their props, in my opinion, Gary, because every single night, it feels like as long as you get a solid outing, a quality start, they're winning the game. Especially if you're out of this whole, Devin Williams funk, because I'm not going to say he's the only one that blew games, but if he's pitching well, there aren't that many guys that are going to blow a game routinely.
Well, I think the key to the Yankees this point forward, I don't even think it's going to be the bullpen. I think our bullpen just is what it's going to be. Sometimes they're going to look like a group that could need an extra arm. Mm-hmm. And then at other times you're going to be like, oh, this is a strength. If the Yankees want to continue winning, guys like Cody Bellinger, guys you pay a lot of money to, they have to continue to contribute. Cody Bellinger last year and the year prior, if they got that, either version, right, either year, take your pick, the Yankees are going to continue winning. They have enough talent. I promise you.
Yeah.
Jason Dominguez, he's going to have to ascend. It can't be a 2023 version of Anthony Volpe where you're like, he looks great at times, he's atrocious at others. No, Jason Dominguez is going to have to put on his Merrill hat, if you will. He's going to have to play quality baseball long-term for the Yankees. And I understand that could seem nitpicky for a young player, but when you're a generational prospect,
oh, good Lord,
right? And you're somebody that an organization's protected all these years, and this isn't negative. This is me saying that given what they've said about you and how you're playing of late, this needs to continue. Guys like Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm was one of the worst baseball players literally in the league for a month stretch there. He's way too talented for that. I know he'll be better. If those guys all pull the rope all in the same direction, this 5-game lead will turn into 9. It'll turn into 11.5. It'll turn into 15 very quickly. And we know this Red Sox team at some point or another is going to click. When? We have no idea. But it's our job to take care of business and make sure that doesn't matter when they do. And I love this super chat.
A Hall of Fame super chat.
Isn't this so great? He says, Jordan Richard with a super. Jordan, thank you for the 5. Says, if the Yankees kept Soto, do you guys think we still have the same offseason additions like a Max Fried and Goldie? Now, to answer the question, no way is Max Fried through the door if we sign Soto. I'm here to tell you right now, no possible way. Goldie, on the other hand,
I think he was the plan all along.
Goldie is a 1-year, $12.5 million contract. And if you remember, Jordan, the Yankees specifically said, Jack Curry said right at the beginning of the offseason, Gleyber Torres is probably not returning with the Yankees. It's the first thing he said before anything else. So we knew his money that we were paying him in arbitration, which was essentially the same number that Paul Goldschmidt's making in 2025. That was just going to be a 1-to-1 split. That's all it was. And then the money from Soto in arbitration, again, last year of his deal, we were paying him $31 million. So the Yankees knew we're going to give up about that much money annually. And the Yankees did, I think, somewhat south of that with Max Fried. So no, to answer your question, Jordan, you probably just don't see the ace of our staff this year in Max Fried if Soto comes back. Now, of course, we'd still probably rather have that player, but some of these additions that Brian Cashman made to sort of rebuttal and throw a punch back, they've worked. So let's actually give him some credit.
Yeah, I think Goldie is likely. I can't say it's a definite, but it just kind of feels like the way they were talking about him, they had their eyes on him. Apparently in September, a report came out that the Cardinals were moving on from Goldschmidt. So this was in the works, but no, I think that they probably would have gone after a Jack Flaherty. Good Lord. Jack Flaherty. I think they would have gone after Jack Flaherty, who ended up going back to the Tigers. Kind of a cool little story there. Was traded away. Then the Tigers randomly went on a crazy win streak and went to the playoffs. But I think they would have gone after Flaherty, Gary. They would have gone after like that level of pitcher. And I think Jack Flaherty's really good, but I think when you look at Fried, I mean, he has an argument as one of the top pitchers in all of baseball. Flaherty, when he's at his best, is still a really good next tier starting pitcher. You know what I mean? He's not among, in my opinion, the top of the top. So,
which is fine, I guess, if you sign one of the best hitters in the game. That's okay.
That's the thing. So I think they would have gone after him. And then I do see Adrian in there talking about Bueller. They might not have traded away Nestor. So, yeah, I think it would have been interesting for sure. But I think they would have gone after a guy like Flaherty, and I definitely think they would have been interested in Bueller more because I know they had a lot of interest in Bueller. Part of me feels like the Yankees didn't think that they were actually going to get Fried. A lot of the talk was that he was a Red Sox. Like that sounded like that was done. So we were actually kind of caught off guard when all of a sudden it was like, yeah, the Yankees got Max Fried.
Well, that's why I think the Yankees wouldn't have gotten him. I think the Yankees thought, and they don't look at it from a standpoint, because I see Ed W in the chat, and I want to bring this up on screen. So he says signing Soto, Goldie, and Fried would have been a $1 billion commitment. I don't think teams look at it this way. I think they look at it at an annual basis. How much am I paying this player this year, next year, the year after that, and then how do I budget that? Well, if we know Gleyber Torres is out the door, we're subtracting about $13 million. I think it was $14 million, actually. So we're subtracting $14 million from our budget. We are going to hover at $300 million. How do we do that? Well, when you lose Soto, not by your choice, but he decides to go play for the Mets, that $31 million is now off your books. So yeah, you can look at the totality of a contract and be like, we gave Fried over $200 million. The Yankees are looking at this as how much does it cost us in 2025? If Soto agreed to return to the Yankees, which a lot of us thought he would, that would be very difficult to budget that $300 million budget. It just would be. So you see Michael Kay talk all the time. Yeah, this maybe doesn't look like a $300 million roster. He said that a couple years back. Well, he sort of brings up that number every year. So it leads you to believe the Yankees are going to hover at that number. So when people ask us the question, would we have gotten these guys we got? I think the answer is no. I think unless they come in to that budget, I don't see how that would be possible.
This one's interesting, by the way. Would Cole have become a casualty considering the opt-in conversations? It makes me wonder. I don't think that was ever in play. I don't think the Yankees were going to move off him, and I don't think he was going to move away from the Yankees. I think they're a good combination between the two. There's a mutual love. I mean, Cole loves the history of the Yankees. That's the thing. Like, stuff like that didn't even appeal to Soto. So when that can maybe scratch the itch, like Judge cares a little bit about stuff like that, you know, the history, the tradition, all that. That's not something that scratched any sort of an itch for Soto. And that was actually reported from what I remember. Cole is different. Like, this is the type of guy who really wants to. I think he's likely going to try to retire a Yankee, I would imagine. So
he will.
Yeah, I never felt like that was going to go anywhere because we talked about the opt-in, and then we brought up like, yeah, he just has to. He has to be paid a certain amount of money or whatever. He's just opting in for something. If it makes sense, he's going to do it. And I mean, he was just making more money by opting in. It was like it was one of the, or opting out. It was one of those things like where it's just, it was already in the contract, like the language, where I think it was already well known he was going to do it. So it wasn't like a shock to the Yankees. That's
Reporters
kind of
literally were saying, this was an expected opt out. Mm-hmm. They're gonna get this done. It's really not even a conversation. It's just not.
It wasn't
I even think like Clayton Kershaw, when he was a free agent, that was more of a conversation than even this, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a longtime Dodger. He's going to retire there. So, yeah, I don't think that Garrett Cole was never going to be a problem. It just wasn't.
No, and I think Garrett Cole's going to play another 4 years, maybe 5 years.
Perhaps. I mean, he's definitely smart enough to pitch. He's not. I know people think of him as a power pitcher, but there are a lot of times you watch him pitch and he's sitting 95, 96. And I know that seems like a power arm, but that's not the Garrett Cole that we signed. Garrett Cole was sitting 100. He had some of the best stuff in the game, right? He was like, during his prime, it was spider tack. Remember that conversation? He can't pitch without it. had the nastiest slider in the game. So, yeah, I think in general, though, people want to know, are the Yankees going to sign a player or try to sign a player and they get him, and then everything that could happen after that is no longer possible because of our budgeting? Or is missing out on a player somehow going to benefit us in all these different ways, which is so difficult to hear because Yankees fans go into the offseason, and I know you mentioned Alex Bregman, right? You mentioned a solution there at third base, and you love that option, maybe even here in the short term for the Yankees. But then the question is what would the Yankees do behind that? So I think it's all interesting. We'll definitely dive into it probably around the trade deadline especially. But let's get into ProphetX. I want to make some picks. I think tomorrow, you said you wanted to do the under. I'm not sold on the under. I mean, you'll have the last say, no question. I'm just not sold just from a standpoint that I think that Clark is a huge wild card here to this pick. I do.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. I think the thing, Griffin Canning has just under a 4 ERA all time against the Yankees. I don't know if you knew that. The only time they ever saw him was when he was against the Angels. It was 3 separate occasions, but home runs, former Yankees. There's only one or 4 Yankees hitters. Aaron Judge. That's the only one that's hit a home run off Griffin Canning out of all.
The generational player.
Yeah. Not too many at bats across the board. Anthony Volpe is up there. He actually has the most hits on the team against Griffin Canning. So kind of like Volpe total bases in this one. I like that.
Okay.
So let's bring that up, shall we?
Okay, so it's going to be Volpe 1.5, correct?
Yeah, so that'll be 1.5 total bases. So
Beautiful.
Guys, just in case you don't know, if he gets a double, you win. If he gets 2 hits, you win. He just has to. Walks do not count as total bases. I had somebody reach out to me and be like, hey, so those total bases, Judge walked. Does that count towards it? I was like, no.
It does not.
So, yeah. I'm going to go with Volpe here. Is he... Yeah. Going to go with Volpe, so keep that there. DJ
member
LeMahieu,
of ours. Yeah, member of ours, Christopher. Thank you for getting involved, Chris.
Yeah.
Says DJ LeMahieu, homer. Not putting my money down on it.
I love that pause. Anthony Volpe and Judge, I like their total bases here. Because this is the Subway Series, I don't even know if I like any of these over-under runs. It's hard to gauge what kind. Like, this game could be a slugfest. We have no idea, right? The first 5 innings, what are we looking at? Yeah, see 5.5. I might do 6.5. I could see it being like a 3-3 game, and then you win if it's a 3-3 game going in the 6th inning. I could see that. Gary, you know what? I'm gonna steer clear from these. I'm gonna go with Volpe and Judge to have over 1.5 total bases.
We're gonna get a Volpe homer, and that's my homer for the road. By the way, you can go ahead and
you're going with dingers for the road with Volpe.
Yep, dingers.
He's
for
not
the
there
road.
yet, but he'll be there.
Yeah, he
tomorrow.
will be, and yeah, he's going yard. And it's gonna be short porch too, which is gonna make it that much better.
Okay.
It's going to piss everybody off.
I'm going to go... Griffin Canning is a right-handed pitcher, so I'm going to say Ben Rice plays tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And he goes yard. So...
Okay.
Ben Rice, Anthony Volpe. I don't think we can say Aaron Judge anymore. It's just, ridiculous.
No, it's a waste of breath.
Yeah. Because Aaron Judge probably hits a home run tomorrow, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, Volpe and Rice, and then 1.5 total bases. We're going on the over for Judge and Volpe for those plays. And that's that. We're keeping it simple. Obviously, you want the Yankees to win, but we're not going to put any money down on the Yankees winning. Because tomorrow could be all sorts of weird. I mean... You could get a great outing from Griffin Canning. You could get a great outing from Clark Schmidt. and I wouldn't be surprised. But I could see Canning getting blown up. I could see Schmidt pitching well. I could see Schmidt getting blown up. I could see Canning pitching. It's like there's too many variables, so I like where we're at. So that's what I'm going to go with. The 1.5, the over on the total bases for Judge and Volpe. And then Gary has Volpe going yard, and I have Ben Rice going yard tomorrow. And that is our dingers for the road. So if you enjoyed this, be sure to hit that like button. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And fun little thing here. Comment section is always kind of all over the place. Like we have movies and phrases and stuff. I want you guys to put the most random player that comes to your mind in baseball. It can be a current player. It can be a former player. The first random player that comes to mind, drop it in the comment section below.
Yeah, and not in the live. When we're done,
the comment section.
Put it in the comment section. We hate that they make us tell you guys that. It should
So
be.
annoying.
It should work. It just doesn't. It puts it in the live. So after we're done, drop it in the comments, a random player that comes to your mind. And of course, if you do sign up with ProphetX, make sure you sign up with the code YanksU. It helps us out a ton. Go Yanks, subscribe, and like this video.